皆さん、こんにちは。これから4回目の日本語の教室です。4回目の日本語の教室です。皆さん、よろしくお願いします。これからいろいろよろしくお願いします。4回目ですので、よろしくお願いします。これから4回目の日本語の教室なんですから、よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします is a standard greeting that is very difficult to translate. よろしくお願いします. It means please be kind to me. Please be nice. Yoroshiku means to treat something well, and it's related to the adjective yoi that we saw just before. Yoroshiku means to do it well. Onegai is something that I want from you. Onegai shimasu. Onegai shimasu. Yoroshiku onegai shimasu. Onegai shimasu. Shimasu is a verb. And so I'm putting the request to you to be kind to me, basically. Please be kind. Okay? これは4回目の日本語の教室ですから、よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。Now, it's interesting when I say よろしくお願いします, I kind of trail off. It's a very set expression. It's just something that's kind of said automatically all the time. So it's said very flatly, よろしくお願いします。おはようございます。どうもありがとうございます。These are kind of like this. They're I don't know exactly. Anyway, we'll continue going over this. よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。よろしいですか? よろしいですか? よろしいですか is a polite way of saying, is everything okay? I normally say, いいですか? いいですか? We saw the adjective いい, meaning good. Is it good? いいですか? Is it okay? よろしいですか? よろしいですか? is the more polite. So there's various levels of Japanese, and yoroshi is what is known as keigo, which is the very polite level of Japanese. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. This is just such a fixed expression. It really doesn't have anything to do with levels of a politeness or anything. It's just something that you say. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. You could say other things with yoroshiku, but this is the set one. Okay. 日本語の教室4回目ですね。4回目. The fourth time. This is our fourth Japanese classroom. Number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So those are the Chinese characters, the kanji for writing numbers. The kanji for writing numbers. 1, 2, and 3 are quite easy. I think you already saw that. The 1 is just a single stroke. Notice how it's kind of tapered in the middle. It bulges towards the two ends. This is to imitate the Japanese brush writing. So, like I said before, this is a font that I like quite a bit because it seems to be more representative of a brush writing style. So this is pronounced ichi, ichi, ikaime. So ichi before kai becomes ik, ikaime, ikaime. The fourth time, 1回目の日本語の教室。2回目の日本語の教室。3回目の日本語の教室。1、2、3. So simple, right? Very representative of what the numbers are. You can see one stroke, you can see two strokes, and you can see 3 strokes. Okay. And ichi, well, we won't go into that. Okay, ichi, ni, san, shi. And as I said before, shi is very frequently read yon, because shi rhymes with death. We also learned the native Japanese way of counting: hitotsu, futatsu, mitsu, and yotsu. So yotsu would be considered the native Japanese. So they just use yon, ichi, ni, san, shi, ichi, ni, san, yon. And you might hear people actually counting with yon. Where I was, I heard shi much more often when people were counting. And it is shigatsu. Like I said, there's a little bit of a superstition around shi. But anyway, ichi, ni, san, shi. And shi all of a sudden has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strokes, nothing to do with the number itself. I saw somebody say that it has 4 corners, so that's why it's the number 4. I don't think so. I don't know why it's 4. Could be. It's a very strange. I've never really researched the origins of this kanji. All kanji you can research the origins of. Go, go. So you write the one across the top, and then you write the one going down, and then you write the angled one in the middle, just like the angled box in Nihon, ni, and then finish it off at the bottom. Ichi, ni, san, shi, kaku, shikaku. The other day I didn't know how to count the strokes. It's ikkaku, nikkaku, sankaku, and yonkaku. So a stroke is a kaku. Kaku means to write or to make a stroke. Kaku, ikkaku, nikkaku, sankaku. Okay, so it's yonkaku desu ne. Ichi, ni, san, shi for the letter 5. And you can see that the 5 appears in Nihongo no go. Nihongo no go. So when we're talking about the go in Nihongo. When I say Nihongo no go, I'm meaning the go in Nihongo. Nihongo no go. The go of Nihongo. Nihongo no go ni go という漢字もありますですね。これはgoです。1 2, 3, 4. And the meaning of this is the number 5. The number 6, roku, roku, roku. R-O-K-U in Romaji. Roku. 4 letters. In hiragana, it only has 2 letters. Roku, roku. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 7. Now, 7 often becomes 7. 1つ、2つ、1つ、2つ、3つ、4つ、5つ、6つ、7つ、7つ。So, 7つ、7つ。7つ. I think it's 7つ. 7 because it's 7つ, 7つ, 9つ. I think it's, I have to look that one up too. I don't use it all that often. Okay. Anyway, it is often nana because, and the reason for that is when you're talking over the telephone or over a long distance, the shi and the ichi sound alike. So in order to avoid the confusion between ichi and shi, nana is used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 8. Q, Q. Q also has an alternative pronunciation that isn't used very frequently. However, it's used in the word for September. Kugatsu. Kugatsu. We don't say kyugatsu, we say kugatsu. So all of the months end with gatsu. Gatsu. 1月, 2月, 3月, 4月, 5月, 6月, 7月, 8月, 9月, 10月, 11月, 12月. We haven't counted past 10 yet, but it's very easy. We go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we just go 10, 11, 12, 13, and then after the ju, it's always 14. It's never 14. So 14, 15, 16, 17. I think it's usually 17. I don't think anybody says 17. 17, 18, 19, and then 20. 20. 11 is 11, 12 is 12, and 20 is 20. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 70, 70, 70, 80, 90, and finally 100. So now we know how to count from 1 to 100. 100, 100, 100. 100, 100, 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. じゃあいいでしょうか？よろしいでしょうか？じゃあよろしくお願いします。よく勉強してください。よく勉強してる。Okay. じゃあ次のスライドへ行きましょう。次のスライドに行きましょう。次 is the next. 次のスライド。Slido. What language is Slido? It's English. And what the alphabet is it written in? Katakana. S, ra, I, do. Slido. Slido. Okay. 次のスライドへ行きましょう。Let's go. 行きましょう。はい。またそのカナの表なんですね。ひらがなの表。あいうえおかきくけこ Is there anything that I need to go over at this point? I don't remember. I think we'll move quickly beyond this. There must have been something, but I'm not thinking of it right now. Okay, so we were doing, actually we've already done a and I, and now we did the kazoku. And now we're going on to we're going to go on to u after this. But before we do that, I have a few other things that I want to talk about. この絵をちょっと話をしたいと思います。これは絵です。これは絵です。これは絵です。Can you write that down? これはえい。これはえです。これはえです。Or is it? No, it's just plain old え。これはえです。I'm sorry, it's just plain old え。It's a picture. これは means this. これはえです。これはえです。これはえです。これは日本人の家の絵ですね。この絵の中に2人がいます。2人がいます。2人。Okay, 2人 means two people. So 2人, we're learning how to count things. 2人 means two. 1人 means one. Here we have 1人. 2人. You've already learned one. We have one here, one person. So, 2人. Okay, I'm getting tired of looking at this guy nodding. I'm going to take him out of here. Oh, look at that. So in this slide, we're going to learn how to write our first kanji. We've actually already seen nichi, or ni, written. You could probably write this now with 4 strokes. It's in a box. It doesn't fill the whole box. It's a little bit, vertically, it's a vertical rectangle. It's not exactly square. The box that it is in is square. So it will align nicely with the other characters, but it's a bit narrower than the other characters. And it's very simply formed. I think you can do this by now. So go ahead and learn the word for writing sun. Nihon. We'll wait for hon later. Nihon jin. Nihon jin. We have Nihongo and we have Nihon jin. Nihon jin. Jin is, of course, you can also write ichi. You already know how to write ichi. You know how to write ni. Ichi, ni. And now you know Nihonjin. Nihonjin. Here we have Nihongo, Nihongo, Nihonjin, Indojin, Americajin, Francejin. France is France, Francejin, Francejin, France-go, France-jin, France. Spain, Spain, Spain-ji, Indojin, Deutschjin. Germany is Deutz, Deutz, Deutschjin. So all of these, you can put jin at the end to signify that they're a person from that country. And the jin is the Chinese reading. Okay? The Chinese reading is called the onyomi. I will be showing you that word later. That will enter our vocabulary list later. For the time being, let's leave it off of our vocabulary list. Unless you feel like you're really a fast learner, then you can start to read the Chinese pronunciation is the onyomi. And that is when you have it's part of a word. This is the one single word, Japanese person. So he is Japanese, we would say in English. So that Japanese is one person. He is Japanese. Kare wa Nihonjin desu. Kare wa Nihonjin desu. So you can write this sentence down in your notebooks as well. Kare wa, and wa, of course, is written with the hiragana ha, ka, and it's a particle denoting the topic. Kare wa, as for him. Kare wa, as for him, Nihonjin desu. Nihonjin desu. He is Japanese. Nihonjin desu. Kare wa Nihonjin desu. Watashi wa Amerikajin desu. Watashi wa Amerikajin desu. I'd write America with katakana, and then I'd put the Chinese character after it. Chinese character is so easy to write, is it not? You can see how to write it. Okay, so we're learning ichi, ni, and then we learned how to write Nihonjin, just that we haven't learned the hon yet. Please hesitate from writing the hon for a while. And then jin, just 2 strokes in jin. Okay, the Japanese reading is hito, hito. Okay, those animations are beginning to annoy me too. Anyway, we keep on going. So hito. We'll use some sentences using hito later. We happen to say hitori for one person, but that comes only from the fact that hitotsu, futatsu, mitsu. So hitori, futari, sannin, yonin, gonin, rokunin, rokunin. 6人の日本人がいます。6人の日本人がいます。6人。6人. That would be all one word. 6人 no is the possessive. 日本人 ga is another particle we haven't learned about. います are present there, exist. There's 2 words for exist in Japanese. The word for animate objects, like a person, imasu, 6人の日本人がいます. And inanimate objects, あります, あります. これはここにマウスがあります. マウスです. これは mouse desu. Okay, mouse desu. Koko ni arimasu. Kore wa mouse desu. This is a mouse. Kore wa mouse desu. There's a Japanese word for mouse. It's nezumi. Nezumi. But they use the English word for this electronic device called a mouse. Okay. So, 私の手の中にマウスがあります。There is a mouse inside my hand. 手に、私の手にマウスがあります。ここに2人の日本人がいます。1人、2人。2人の日本人がいます。和室の中に座っています。和室の中に座っています。They are sitting inside a 和室。和室の中に畳がある。1、2、3、4、5、6. So we can see 6 tatami. Okay? We can see the oshiire. This is the closet, although it's probably the exit to the hall. Traditionally, there would be a closet in the room, very much like the same like the exit to the hall, and that's where the futon would be put. So in the daytime, they have a table set up with 2 zabuton. We have futon is what you sleep on, and a zabuton is what you sit on, zabuton. Okay? We have an ocha, これはお茶です。お茶を飲んでいます。飲んでいます。その2人はお茶を飲んでいます。すごくいい立派な部屋なんですね。立派な部屋。この部屋は立派です。That 部屋 is really beautiful. 立派な部屋です。2人はこの部屋の中に座ってます。2人ですね。2人。1人、2人。3人いません。There are not 3 people. 2人しかいない。3人がいません。Okay? 2人がいます。1人、2人、3人、5人、6人。So already this Jin has an alternate Chinese pronunciation of nin. When it's used as a counter, it's pronounced nin. But it's more frequently used as jin. The only time that it's nin really is when it's used as a counter. And その2人はすごくいい人です。いい人です。その2人、They're kind of a distance from me. They're on my screen. They're not really right there. They're on your computer, so they kind of have a distance until I put my head in there or put my mouse on there, my pointer. これはポインターです。ポインター。白いポインター。白い is white. 白いポインター。動いていますですね。動いています。My 白いポインター is moving. ポインター。We could also call it an arrow. 矢印 is an arrow. 矢印が動いています。白い矢印。But it's basically a pointer. There's a word for point in Japanese. It's sasu, to point. Sashimono, 指しているものですね。I'm going to look up pointer as well. We have so many words to look up. I'm constantly in the dictionary. I forget the minute I look it up, but repeat it and repeat again and again. Have patience. That's the key to learning a language. Pointer. Ta. ER does not exist in Japanese, so they just draw out the ah sound. Pointer, 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 pointer. ポインターがありますね。今はそのポインターが動いています。部屋の中に動いてます。部屋の中に2人がいます。2人の日本人がいます。1人は主人です。もう1人は奥さんです。奥さんと主人は一緒に、together、一緒に、その和室の中に座っています。お茶を飲んでいます。So we have a terrific dialogue going on. I'm going to use this picture. You will be seeing this again with this exact description. So hopefully you will learn it yourselves. Okay, back to hito. One other point I wanted to make is printed, hito often looks like this. Don't write it like this. This looks really ugly, and it's not clear at all. It should clearly come, in fact, I think this one is even too high. It should really come out of about here. Whoops. Oh, what did I do? Oh, he's upset. Okay, goodbye. So the hito should come out of about the middle of that first stroke. And I've given you many calligraphic examples to look at to see what hito should really look like. Look how in this hito there's a little bit of a bulge at the top. The Japanese are much more creative than the Chinese with their calligraphy. I think in China this calligraphy would almost be unacceptable with this kind of brush things. The Japanese consider it to be very artistic. They really love it when they're able to do this. The Chinese, not so much so. You won't see this type of calligraphy in China. China has their own particular style. This one in gold is closer to the Chinese style of calligraphy. You can see on the hito here, look at that little thing coming out. So they've taken the brush and then they've pulled it up and out to show that their next stroke is going to be over here. So they're trying to make it look like they're brushing through there in a very speedy style. It makes the brushwork look very fluid and easy. This work is not easy. If you watch a calligraphy artist, you'll see them working very slowly. Although the Japanese love to make huge pieces of calligraphy with huge brushes. I never see the Chinese doing that. Okay. If you look really closely here, it's too small really to see. You can see hito and jin and nin. Hito written in blue, jin written in red, nin written in red, and it says the kunyomi and the onyomi. And then the meaning, person. Person or, I can't read that other one. Huh? Person, I can't read it. You may be able to read it. Okay, so all Japanese kanji have a kunyomi and an onyomi. Okay. Sometimes two onyomis, like here, jin and nin. And here's a few examples of how jin is used. Jinko means population. Jinsei means life. We'll look at this one again too. I think I'll make this bigger. Okay, so anyway, this is the way hito is written. And now, what hiragana is this? U. U. This is u. A, I, u. So we're only on the third hiragana. It's our fourth lesson, and we're only on the third hiragana. U, e, ue, ue. A, I, u, e. A is the fourth one. U and e together. Now remember, in the example before, there was nothing coming out of this dot. I made a comment on that. Here, something's coming out. U, e, ue, ue. And ue is written like this in kanji, and it means up or on. ue. So, これはマウスですね。マウスは私の手の上にあります。マウスは先生の手の上にあります。So I keep saying 私の, 私の. More typical Japanese way to say it would sensei no. I refer to myself in the third person, especially when I'm a sensei. And all of my students would refer to me in the third person as well. It's considered polite to be indirect in Japanese. そのマウスは先生の手の上にあります。そのマウスは先生の手の上にあります。And I just wanted you to see the kanji because it looks like ue. You have the bottom line there, and then you have this thing on top working for it. If you wanted to write the opposite of ue, which is shita, then this line would be on top, and then you'd have shita. This thing is just to maybe emphasize the bottom stroke. Gives a little balance. Who knows why that's there? But it just means on or over. It could mean on or it could mean over. There's no clear distinction between over and on. Ue. Ue ni arimasu. Ue, shita. Ue, shita. Shita should be coming up very soon here. In fact, I like to introduce words in their opposites. So that's what I'm doing. I just don't have shita written. Shita. So if you know the romaji, S-H-I-T-A, shita. And notice how the shita, it's almost like S-H-T-A, but there's no such consonant cluster in Japanese, shita, but it's almost always pronounced shita. Ue, shita, ue, shita. Deshita is the past tense of des. Deshita, mashita, mashita, tabemashita, imashita, aimashita. I met somebody, aimashita. Okay. Ue, ue. What is this? E. And e is a nice way to say yes. You agree with somebody. E. そうですね. E. そうです. E. そうです. E is very soft. I could also say はい。はい。はい。そうです。はい。そうです. I'm being more formal when I say hai. In fact, you'll see a military officer saying hai, 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 and it's usually translated yes, sir, yes, sir. So hai is more like yes, sir. A is yeah, yeah. It's more like yeah. Okay, and of course, what happened? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. It's written either with two A's to indicate that it's long or with a macron over the E. Okay? And there's the hai, ha-i. So that would be written with a ha. We haven't learned the ha yet. Well, we learned wa. You've seen the wa. And then with the E, which is not on this page, it's on the previous page. Hai, hai, so desu, so, do, ko. Okay. So desu. So is really exactly the same as in English. It is that way. So, it is so. So desu. So desu. That's pure coincidence. So is a very native Japanese word, has nothing to do with English, and vice versa. So sometimes in languages there are coincidences. Okay, and of course the opposite of hai is iye, iye, dame, yada, yada, iya, dame da, iye, sono koto wa nai. Hai, so desu. Iie, sono koto wa nai. So iie is not rude, it's very polite. Iie. I don't know, yeah, iie. There's other words for iie. Iie is somewhat avoided. Once again, you don't want to contradict somebody. The Japanese people are said to be collaborative. They like to collaborate together. They like to agree with each other. So they proceed forward in a very collaborative style. The Japanese are very slow to get going, but once they get going, they have a good plan and they work very quickly, efficiently, and work with good quality. Okay. Here's a new word, ego. Ego. Now, by now, you already recognize the go, ego. Ego means English, ego. We have Nihongo and we have ego. Now, where does A come from? Why is it ego? Why isn't it America go? It's France go, Spain go, etc. This is the next slide. We're going to go to the next slide. Once again, Nihongo, Nihongo. Okay. So here we have ego once again. The country's name is Igiris, Igiris, Igiris. And that sounds like the Japanese are trying to say English, English, Igiris. But it's the name of the country. It's not English at all. It's England, Igiris. But in the beginning, the Japanese used Chinese characters to write all of the country names, and England has an alternative name of Eikoku. Koku means country. Eikoku, Eikoku. So that A comes from Eikoku and becomes Eigo. So the way to say English in Japanese is eigo, eigo. So you must learn this word, eigo. Nihongo, eigo. We're going to see some other countries. This country is what? I think you all know the country. It is France, France, France. So this would be written in hiragana or katakana? Katakana, of course. So you can look at your little chart and you can figure out how to write France, France. This country is Deutsch, 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 Deutsch. So Deutschland, Deutschland. I don't speak any German. I have quite, I made this slideshow too. Yes, those must be the arms of the king of, his coat of arms, of the king of Spain. Spain, 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 France to Spain. これはドイツですね。これはドイツ。バカだね。先生はバカです。バカ、バカ。Idiot, stupid. バカ、バカだね。バカだね。バカです。バカだね。バカ。Okay. France, Spain. Deutsch, from Deutschland. This one I know. This one is 中国。中国。中国。中国。So, in order to form the language, this is 私は France. I am a French person. We already learned that. 私はフランス人です。スペイン人です。ドイツ人です。中国人です。日本人です。インド人です。The country that you live in is Indo. インド人です。インド人です。私はインド人です。インド。We have France, Spain, Deutsch, 中国. And if we join these all together, we put France Jin, Spain Jin, Deutsch Jin, 中国 Jin. Or if we have like Eigo, Nihongo, we have France Go, Spaingo, Deutschgo, Chugokugo. And really, since we just learned Hito, I should put a Hito after there too. France Jin, Spain Jin, Deutsch Jin. But we don't say Indogo, we say Hindigo, Hindigo, Hindi, for the language spoken by, 40 or 60% of the Indians. By a large number of the Indians, Hindi is spoken. And it's spelled in katakana, he, D. Now those two dots there, take that T sound and change it into a D sound with a chisai E, and along that, the Hindi, the E is lengthened. Hindigo, Hindigo. That's the name of the language. The name of the country, of course, is Indo, 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 Indo. You see the same there that you see in Hindi. And the two dots for the turning that to into do. Indo. So that's the story of languages. All starting out because go starts with an A. This is a, I, U, A. We're in our A's now. Next comes O. No, we're going to review adjectives. Okay, we'll do that. Because actually this is a review of our spelling as well. Aoi means blue. I means good. Oki, oki. So we're going to look at the ki. Look at that ki. Look how it's joined. Don't write it that way. We'll see in our next slide the way it should be written. But here we have two O's joined together. Usually to make a long O, you use a U. But O-ki and the next one, oi, are the only two. O-ki is a man, you see the hito there, with his arms stretched out. That's how the kanji for O-ki is written. So that kanji replaces the two O's, but the ki is still there. So what Japanese has done is that they have taken the part of their language that is inflected, that changes. This changes. We could say okikata. We would drop the I and add a kata. That means it was big at one time. Okikata. Okay, now it's chisai. Chisai is the opposite of oki. We're not learning opposites yet. We're just learning the alphabet. So this is just our initial introduction to these words. Look how oki is written. The horizontal line is written first, and then hito. Okay, this particular strokeorder.info has not only given you the quadrants, but then they divided those quadrants to make it easier to form more accurate words. And you'll see paper like this. I think I have some in my desk drawer. I may get it out and show it to you. I think I have it. Okay. And then oi. Oki means big. Oi means many. Indo no hito ga oi desu. Indo no hito ga oi desu. Indo no hito ga oi desu. There are many people in India. Oi. Oi. Sukunai is the opposite of oi. Oki, chisai, oi, sukunai. Okay. And here we have the ki that is not joined with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strokes. So we go 1, 2. So we do the 2 vertical strokes because both of these strokes are further to the left. This one also is further to the left, but usually the bottom stroke is done last, no matter how far to the left it is. Okay, so we do the 2 strokes, and then we do the joining stroke here. joins the two together and has the little hook. It does not go here. This is, but your pen suggests that it's there, but it's just not. Okay, oki. Okay. So now, a, I, u, e, o. We finally got into the honorific o. We had back here, we had oki and oi. I think that's why I did the adjectives here, because there's not too many words that begin with o. Oki and oi happen to begin with o, and they happen to be adjectives. We've already learned aoi. We also learned akai and kiroi, but we'll get a summary chart of colors in the next few lessons. I and wari, 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 wari. It's a little difficult to say. Wari, wari. Wari is bad. Wari desu. Wari desu. Ii desu. Ii desu. Ii desu ne. Ii desu. Wari desu. Dame. Dame. Wari. Wari. Sayaku desu. Sayaku desu. It's the worst. Oki. Oki. Oi. So we have the honorifics beginning with O and go. So O pairs with indigenous Japanese words. For example, okome, okome. Okome is uncooked rice. Gohan is cooked rice, gohan. And han happens to be the onyomi for, is there even a, I don't know, han. We have chahan, is chahan, oh maybe you don't know chahan. It's fried rice. In Chinese, it's read chao fan. Chao fan. Chao means to fry something. Fan is rice. In Japanese, rice is pronounced han. Gohan. So it's not an indigenous Japanese word. It comes from the Chinese, fan. Gohan. So it has a go. So O pairs with indigenous Japanese words. These rules are not hard and fast. Okome happens to be the Chinese pronunciation for this is be. And this is the kanji that is used to represent America. So America, just like England was Eikoku, America was in the distant past known as Beikoku. Beikoku. Eikoku, Beikoku, Chugoku, Kankoku. Kankoku is Korea. So there's several countries that still have the word koku in it. Koku. Chugoku. The K sound softens. Okay, we'll see these more and more. Okane. Okane. This okane is read kin if it was the Chinese pronunciation, kin. And it basically means metal. But when it has the Japanese pronunciation, it means money, and the honorific is put in front of it, okane. We never just say kane. In fact, kane means metal. Okane is money, kane. I worked in the stamping industry. We stamped out big sheet metal, made the bonnets of the cars, made the hoods of the car, the roof of the car, the doors, the outside panels of the cars, and we call that stuff kane. Okane is money. Osake. Osake. Osake is the traditional wine that's made from rice. It's not a distilling process. It's a fermentation process, just like wine is made by fermenting. You can also ferment, oh, come on, help me out. The stuff that you eat. I live in South India and I've forgotten the name. This comes from being an old man. Oh my God. It's also used to make idli. You ferment the dough overnight to make idli, and I'll think of it later. You can see what I'm up against. Old age. Osake. Osake. And osake is also called Nihonshu. Nihonshu. Nihon is Japanese. Shu is the onyomi for wine. So it could be osake is the native pronunciation. So we Americans call it sake. To call it sake is totally wrong. It's osake. Osake. Nihonshu. Nihonshu. Using the same kanji. Osake. So go pairs with Sino-Japanese words, as I said before. You have gokazoku. Gokazoku. We have gokyōryoku. Gokyōryoku. So this would be used in business. Minasan no gokyōryoku no de arigatou gozaimashita. Irona gokyōryoku de daiseiko dekimashita. We were very successful. Okage-sama de, due to your hard efforts. Okage-sama de, gokyōryoku de, gokyōryoku de, kyo, the same kyo as in kyōtsu, but it's written differently. Remember I said that this is like the ka, the katakana ka, and with a little dot over here, it's hiragana ka, but in this case, it's a Chinese character, a kanji, and it means power. And when it's a standalone word, it's used chikara, 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 chikara. So minasan no chikara de, their strength, chikara, okay? And then there's 3 chikaras together in kyoryoku. So putting all of this strength together is cooperating. Okay, anyway, that's the beauty of Japanese. Goshinsetsu. There's another Japanese combination. And as I said before, Sino-Japanese combination, a Chinese, the onyomi. Gohan is also in this group. Go, 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 o, o, o. So this is an introduction to honorifics. The honorific o is far more common than the honorific go. Okay? So sometimes o should not be used to talk about yourself. So if you want to say, my name is Tanaka, namae wa Tanaka desu. You could say, watashi no namae wa Tanaka desu. Watashi no namae wa Tanaka desu. If you're a younger man, you might say, boku no namae wa Tanaka desu. Boku no namae wa Tanaka desu. O namae wa nan desu ka? O namae wa nan desu ka? So you don't need to, in fact, the one pronoun that is avoided the most of any is the pronoun for you. You is a rather awkward word in Japanese. The word is anata, anata, and it was originally a polite name, but if you use anata to talk to somebody, to a business associate or something like that, it's almost as if you've forgotten their name. So you should really talk to them address them by your name. So I could say, Tanaka-san, nani o shitemasu ka? Nani o shitemasu ka? What are you doing, Tanaka-san? And I'd always call him Tanaka-san. I call somebody else san. Tanaka-san, nani o shite imasu ka? Nani o shite imasu ka? Nani o shite imasu? Nani o shite imasu? What are you doing? O namae wa nan desu ka? And of course, if I don't know his name, I can't say Tanaka-san no o namae wa nan desu ka? That would be ridiculous. O namae refers to the last name, by the way. Namae. Interesting side note, the Japanese did not get names until the Meiji Restoration, or the Meiji era. the samurais and all of that. There was a lot of bloodshed, and all of the shoguns and things were out, and Japan was becoming a modern democracy. They did have a very strong, the emperor was the god, he was next to God. Hirohito, that's a future emperor actually. The Meiji emperor, I don't know the name of the Meiji emperor, but there was the Meiji, and then there was, I believe it was Taisei. I think it was Taisei, I can't remember. There was an era, a very short era between Meiji and Showa. There may be some Taisei people still living, but fewer and fewer. I have to look this up. When was the Taisei era? Was it Taisei? Oh my gosh. So many things to remember and research before I stick my neck out. Okay, Genki versus O Genki. So you would say Genki desu ka? Actually, you just say Genki, Genki, and the answer is Genki. Genki desu ka? You can say that, but you generally O Genki desu ka? O Genki desu ne? O Genki becomes quite polite, and once again, don't use it for yourself. So O sometimes should not be used to talk about yourself. But if it's T, and that T belongs to you, then you're not elevating yourself by referring it to as T, you're elevating T in general. And T is so important in Japan. Japanese tea is much different from Indian tea. It's usually not processed in any way. It's just dried and drunk as is, of course known as green tea. It's so prominent in Japan. Never, ever put sugar in tea. Never, ever put milk in tea. This is just not done. So it's because the tea has such a lovely flavor, and there's so many different flavors of tea depending on where it comes from. And tea fields are very, I think it's like if you went to the northeastern part of India, you'd see a lot of tea in the mountains. India is a lot warmer. The tea must be grown at higher elevations. In Japan, tea can be grown at very low elevations. Japan is an ideal country for the cultivation of tea. Okay, so sometimes you are honoring the object itself, so you can refer to it ocha, even if it's your own tea. Never do we say cha, we just don't say cha. And of course, the Indian word chai comes from the word cha. I think cha was originally a Chinese word, but the Japanese say ocha, ocha. Tea is almost always ocha. Okane is the same. It's never kane. And you're going to talk about okane when it's your kane or when it's anybody else's kane. That's just part of the word. Okay. Cooked rice is always gohan. Uncooked rice is always okome. So you're honoring those very valuable objects, rice and tea and gold. Kane is gold, not just metal, but gold. Okay, so I think we've reached the end of our lesson today. I didn't see the start time. We may be a bit shorter today. I think we're at the end. Yeah, so I have to, if we had time, I would show you how to use your keyboard, but I really don't think that we'll do that today. No, I need to prepare another lesson. Okay. じゃあ皆さん、それでは終わりましょう。また次回、前回、次回、今回、前回、次回、また次回会いましょう。Let's meet again next time. また次回。いろいろよろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします can be a opening greeting and it can be an ending greeting, and it's probably used many times during the day as well. お願いができますか means can I help you? Or can you help me, I mean. Okay. じゃあそれでは 失礼します。失礼します。失礼します。バイバイ。